My name is Kaido. I was your average gamer living on Earth, although in the virtual world, my gaming skills had once undoubtedly reached a godlike level. Now, bizarrely, I find myself reincarnated as a level 1 skeleton, a set of dismembered, broken remains. I gaze at my scattered, bony figure, trying to understand the mystery behind what has just happened. Suddenly, a huge crimson paw rudely tramples over my frame, and my bones emit a series of crackling sounds under its heavy pressure. Strangely, I do not feel a sliver of pain. Lifting my head slightly, a massive red husky, or maybe a wolf, is staring at me, saliva dripping, as if anticipating a delicious lunch. I tried to tell myself that this was nothing but an absurd dream, and all I needed to do was close my eyes to wake up from it. However, in that instant, I realized I no longer have eyelids to close. Why the hell did this happen to me? In the year 2025, a brand new VR game called The Vast Wilderness was released to the public, instantly capturing the passion of billions of players worldwide with its incredible realism and boundless open world. Swords and magic, those primitive imaginations deep within humanity, were given vibrant life within the gaming world of The Vast Wilderness. Thousands of professions and classes to choose from and endless adventure quests allowed players to roam freely in this magnificent world, becoming a new home for countless virtual explorers. This craze also brought a surge of orders to our game-boosting studio. Tempted by gold coins that can be exchanged for real-world money, numerous boosters worked day and night in this virtual world. Having once been deeply involved in the development work of The Vast Wilderness, I too became one of this weary boosting army. At just over 20 years old, I finally collapsed amidst continuous overnights and excessive fatigue, my heart emitting its final cry in my chest. It hurt so bad that I can't even breathe. However, what resonated beside me was not people concerned about my well-being, but a dispute over whether there was any unrecovered equipment on my game character. My life seemingly mattered less than a virtual item. I felt darkness engulf me, time becoming blurry in this void. Was it a prolonged silence or a fleeting moment? Then, a melodious voice, imbued with a soft, cute quality, gently echoed in my ears. "Hey, what's with you, skeleton? Why are you just standing there doing nothing? Please hurry up and fight monsters." I woke up in a daze, struggling to open my eyes. Wait, where are my eyelids? Why can't I blink? My hand brushed over my eyes, feeling an empty outline. Before I could figure out where I was, a girl dressed as a reaper hurriedly turned towards me, my consciousness plunging into chaos. Perhaps this is the world after death? The echo of my own joints creaking, a creaking sound that once belonged to aged door hinges and rusty gears, now formed a part of my being. I slowly lifted my arm, clutching a sword made out of bones, subconsciously searching for my six-pack abs and those robust triceps, but they were all gone. Ahead, a flicker of joy flashed through the eyes of the girl dressed as a reaper upon seeing me. Is this what it's like after death? Is she the grim reaper that's leading me to hell? As I was immersed in this vast, pristine world, the ground behind me suddenly cracked open. Whipping my head around, a level 3 zombie wolf was snarling, its blood-red eyes locking intently onto me, tightly clenching another skeleton's body in its jaws. The girl timidly hid behind me, whispering orders for me to fend off the approaching zombie wolf. For a moment, flashbacks flickered through my memory. Wasn't this creature from the Vast Wilderness starting village in the game? I scanned the surroundings, realizing that this familiar yet desolate desert was the desert of death. Hold on, this wasn't another world after death? It was the virtual world I knew too well. The zombie wolf moved toward us slowly but deliberately, a bloodthirsty scent oozing from the corners of its mouth. It seemed I was ensnared in a cruelly pre-scripted play, whether it be my overworked death or this unexpected rebirth. The girl's scream punctured the deathly silence, yet I was unusually calm. This level 3 zombie wolf had fallen to my blade countless times in prior open beta testing. Its weakness, the underjaw beneath its neck, was visibly clear. I lifted the bone sword high, charging and striking directly at its weak point. However, unexpectedly, somehow my hand broke. The zombie wolf easily sent me flying, and I crashed to the ground, My bones are scattered everywhere. At that moment, I realized that I had turned into a fragile skeleton soldier summoned by a novice necromancer. In desperation, I attempted to hold on to my scattered sword, fighting for survival. Just as I was about to grasp the weapon, the zombie wolf pounced again, its heavy steps landing on my brittle skeleton, accompanied by a series of bone-shattering sounds. In despair, I involuntarily reminisced about my past glory. While I gained fame at a young age, winning the world championship twice, dueling with Faker on Summoner Rift, standing atop that glorious podium, fervently proclaiming that I was the pinnacle point of that world. However, an unexpected car accident sent everything I had down the drain. Waking to see a metallic device on my arm, I realized that the version of me that could dominate the gaming arena had forever disappeared. To cover huge medical bills and club penalties, I suppressed my pride and became a game booster. I, who once disdained to bow to fate, now suffered such a miserable fate again in this virtual world. Memories of pain surged within me. Gazing at the broken sword in my hand and the parts of me scattered about, I lamented the cruelty of fate and the injustice of life. Once the best professional player, an accident ruined my life, and now I'm stuck in this world, just waiting to be killed again. Why must fate play me like this? Anger and unwillingness welled up within me, causing me to grip the remnants of the sword tightly. I refused to fall like this. On the brink of demise, a profound desire to survive, to fight, to become strong, erupted from within me. At that moment, a burst of purple light exploded from within my body, and something immersed inside of me. "Your will to survive is strong," a deep voice resonated within my mind. "The God-level evolution system is now activated." The purple lightning dancing before my eyes resembled sprites twirling in the air. The system informed me that it would assist me in continuous evolution, enabling me to become the strongest being in this world. As the purple electricity infused into me, my health points were fully recovered. My sword, too, was reforged by the purple lightning transforming into a blade that gleamed with a cold light. Simultaneously, a buff was granted to me, increasing all of my attributes by 100%, lasting for 30 seconds. 30 seconds, I murmured to myself, ready to utilize this to slay the zombie wolf. I raised my sword again, slashing toward the wolf's weakness with an even more precise and brutal strike. This time it fell onto the ground. I breathed a sigh of relief. The girl's mouth gaped open, her expression one of disbelief, as she looked from me to the zombie wolf, collapsed on the ground. Pointing my sword towards the horizon, I am ready to embark on the adventurous journey in this world. The system's notification sounded again, informing me that killing the zombie wolf had awarded me 10 experience points and 10 evolution points. I lifted my head, facing the drizzle in the night sky, an uncontainable joy springing forth within me. This was a new beginning. No matter how treacherous the path ahead, I would forge onward. In the girl's eyes, my form became increasingly blurred. She shook her head, trying to bring clarity to everything before her. She gazed at me, her summoned creature, the skeleton soldier that had slain the zombie wolf with a single slash. Everything seemed too bizarre, as if all rules and logic were broken at that moment. I inspected my body, noticing its significantly weakened state. Meanwhile, the girl beside me marveled, pondering why the skeleton soldier she summoned was so powerful, reflecting on the fact that the vast wilderness was a game of immense freedom, where every mechanism could unveil boundless possibilities, and even a player's summoned beings could mutate, though such an occurrence was strikingly rare, with the odds being 1 in a billion. A strong summoned creature could massively aid a player's leveling journey. The girl, reading through the game's guide, assumed that I too had undergone some mutation. While she was engrossed in watching the video, I persistently slew the zombie wolves. She gazed at the equipment and materials scattered all over the ground, utterly exhilarated. A zombie wolf head suddenly flew past, startling her. With zombie wolf corpses littering the landscape, it was no longer clear who was the summoner and who was summoned creature. The girl opened her skill panel. Her undead summoning was only at level 1, enabling her to call forth a maximum of 3 skeleton soldiers. Watching me continuously defeat the zombie wolves, she found the scene incredibly exaggerated. The ceaseless battle had allowed me to become accustomed to this new body of mine. The system indicated that I had leveled up. I sighed, never having imagined that I would be reborn in this manner, in the vast wilderness's game world that had just been launched. I walked towards the girl who is currently gathering materials dropped on the ground. She must be the player who summoned me. Sadly, I am currently unable to speak. But what surprised me most was the god-level evolution system that had just been activated. The system informed me that by killing monsters, even players could acquire evolution points. I could use these points to undergo my own evolution, whereas enhancement points, which I had not activated the function to use yet, could only be obtained by defeating elite bosses. Glancing at the rusted iron sword in my hand, was it used to enhance weapons? I didn't recall having this option during the beta testing. But what of it? Though I have been reborn as the weakest skeleton soldier in this world, if I can continue to evolve, what will I ultimately become? Suddenly, a system window popped up, notifying me that my evolution points were maxed out and that I could now undergo my first evolution. Finally, I could evolve. I took a deep breath and clicked on confirm. The system asked if I wanted to spend 100 evolution points to become a skeleton swordsman. It seemed like I didn't have any other choices. Let's see what the system can evolve me, the weakest summoned creature, into. The moment I clicked confirm, the window turned into flames surrounding me, forming a pillar of fire. The system prompted that I was evolving and received 3 seconds of evolution protection. Meanwhile, my total HP and mana increased by 80%, and soon all my attributes also increased by 80%. My weapon also transformed into the new blade, exclusive to the skeleton swordsman. The system notified me that I had evolved into a second-tier skeleton swordsman. My body underwent some changes as well. I opened the attribute panel, not expecting such a significant improvement from a single evolution. At the same time, I also gained a passive skill that allows me to wield the sword more proficiently, increasing my attack speed by 20%. This passive was decent and perfectly compensated for my lack of strength as a skeleton. I swung my new weapon, feeling quite satisfied with it. Now my combat power should far exceed that of players at the same level. However, as I was reveling in my newfound power, I suddenly realized something. If other players discovered that I, a summoned creature, possessed self-consciousness, it would undoubtedly cause a lot of trouble. Even though trouble was bound to find me sooner or later, my top priority now was to become stronger as quickly as possible. Lonely me, different from those players who gathered into the large guilds, to survive in this virtual world, I must possess absolute power to defeat everything. It was time to quickly accumulate new evolution points. The monsters in the newbie zone no longer brought me any benefit, but before that, I needed to figure out one thing. What kind of connection exists between me, as a summoned creature, and the person who summoned me? My gaze slowly focused through the void of night, landing on the girl who was busily picking up the loot dropped by the zombie wolves. She was obviously a newbie player, there was no doubt about it. I decided I would take her along. As she tallied how much money she could sell the drops for, I walked up to her. She didn't show much surprise at my change, but rather a face full of joy. She looked me up and down, then hugged me tightly without hesitation, smiling broadly and proclaiming that from now on, she would rely on me to rise to the pinnacle of life. She planned to pick up all these items, then wait for the next wave of zombie wolves to respawn and continue to farm materials for gold. Since I couldn't speak, I tried to communicate with her through actions as much as possible. I shook my head vigorously and made a no sign with my hands. She seemed to understand my meaning, and when I pointed in another direction, she understood that I didn't want to waste time here anymore and wanted to move to other areas. Then, something unexpected happened. She suddenly sat on the ground, tears streaming down. Her voice choked with sobs as she begged me to stay, saying there were many monsters here, and I killed them quickly. She didn't want to leave. I stood there, stunned, a mixture of emotions in my heart. This might be the first time in the world that a summoned creature has seen its summoner in this state. Staring at the soon-to-resurrect zombie wolves, I sensed that this place would soon be discovered by other players. Facing 1 or 2 enemies might still be manageable, But encountering high-level players from guilds who were helping to level up newbies would be a different matter. In this virtual world, PvP killing and equipment looting were common. Looking at the tearful girl in front of me who was still pleading, if she fell under the attack of other players, I would also die as well. So I decisively lifted her up. Although her protests echoed in my ears, I securely placed her on my shoulder and resolutely headed elsewhere. She struggled on my shoulder, demanding that I put her down. Watching the materials on the ground gradually drift away, she fell into tears again. However, I did not stop. Leveraging my deep understanding of the game, I could gain the upper hand. The first kill of hidden bosses and rare equipment in the game must all be mine. My first stop was decided to begin in this forest. Inside the cave, filled with screams and agony, players' screams rose and fell in succession, and lives repeatedly disappeared under this massive shadow. This was the cave of the fierce clawbear. Although it was somewhat dangerous, it did not pose a threat to me. Observing the huge bear paw prints on the ground, I knew I was getting increasingly closer to the cave. Screams from afar echoed, and a giant clawbear, carrying the corpse of a player in its mouth, slowly walked out of the cave. And this was one of the hidden dungeons, the Clawbear Mountain. In the dense forests of Clawbear Mountain, horrifying screams ebbed and flowed as numerous adventurers fell under the fearsome claws of the colossal bears, discarding their armor and weapons in desperate retreat. A knight up ahead, upon witnessing the domineering presence of the giant clawbear, forgot his duty to taunt and draw its aggro. He plunged into a panic, abandoning his injured teammates and fleeing without looking back. The bear showcased its brutality, easily biting through a tree thicker than a human with its gaping maw, displaying its terrifying power. The second knight, whose shoulder had been lightly grazed by the bear's sharp claw, was now bleeding profusely. Staring at the massive frame of the bear, his body shivered involuntarily, and he checked his items and equipment. If he dies here, all of his equipment and items will be lost to him forever. Just as he felt someone approaching amidst his despair, at first, he thought it was his teammates coming back for him. Turning around, his eyes filled with relief, he murmured, "I knew you guys would come back." However, when his gaze met my handsome skeletal face, his words abruptly ceased. He screamed out in sudden terror, "What the?" The girl on my shoulder was shaken by the gruesome scene ahead, sobbing incessantly and pleading with me to put her down. The knight, although horror-stricken upon seeing my skeletal figure, evidently forgot about his ticking, bleeding debuff. Soon, the system's message appeared. Player has died. His body gradually dissipated, turning into intangible data. The giant bear, witnessing its prey vanish before it could feast, expressed an angry demeanor, pushing aside the thick trees ahead with its enormous paw and charging toward us. This level 7 clawbear was clearly not something low-level adventurers could handle. The girl's voice, slightly choked with sobs, resonated in my ear. "This place is too dangerous. That level 5 player just now was no match for it. We need to run." Her eyes shimmered with tearful light, evidently worried that the materials we had just obtained would be needlessly lost in an unnecessary risk. However, I ignored her and instead felt a trace of excitement bubbling within me. Our luck seemed really good. It appeared that the previous adventuring party had been wiped out, meaning that we shouldn't be disturbed by anyone else for a short while. My senses detected a gathering of bears behind us. It seemed that the previous adventurers had accidentally drawn in the entire bear pack, culminating in their demise. But this suited me perfectly. I could use these bears to level up, while simultaneously unlocking the respawn conditions for the hidden boss. I gently set the girl down in a gentlemanly manner, and she lifted her tearful eyes, filled with dissatisfaction and puzzlement. In her eyes, I was a summoned creature that refused to listen to her commands, but she didn't know that for me, all of this was calculated. The girl, clearly displeased with me, emphasized that she was my master and questioned why I didn't listen to her. But when she saw that we were surrounded, fear crept into her eyes, and she suggested that we should flee. Ignoring her, I charged at the nearest ferocious bear, drawing its attention before darting toward the others. By drawing their aggro, I ensured the girl wouldn't be harmed. Next, I planned to utilize my skills and knowledge of these creatures to systematically take them down. I had run this dungeon countless times. I knew their every move intimately. The giant bear's first skill was a swipe, using its lethal claws to lash at the ground to inflict damage, while its second skill was a fearsome bite, where it would open its massive jaws and aim to snatch me between them. I leaped backward fiercely, dodging it. With my current HP, I couldn't afford to take damage more than once or twice. I had to rely on my speed to evade them. I darted amongst the bears, their skills failing to land a hit on me. The girl watched, baffled, unable to comprehend why the bears couldn't touch me. Moreover, she noticed that I was misleading the bears into attacking each other. In the midst of chaos, my skeletal figure danced agilely amongst the hulking beasts. My tactics were strategic. I'd lure one beast into swiping or biting, then swiftly dodge, ensuring the attack was instead imposed on each other. As I did this, I could hear the girl's voice, a mixture of awe and fear, whispering words that were drowned out by the cacophony of growls and roars. The vast wilderness. This game indeed exhibits astonishing realism with its adoption of a physics engine module. As a skeleton after my first evolution, my speed, reaching up to 2.0, far surpasses other normal players, whereas the average level 3 players can only achieve about a speed of 1.0. Though the giant bears possess mighty attacks and high health points, they lack agility and speed. Their weaknesses are concentrated on their heads and paws. Seizing the opportunity, I raised my weapon high, aiming at the clumsy paw of the giant bear, and forcefully slashed it 3 times. With my speed advantage, I continually circled around this off-balanced bear, systematically impairing its joints. The first claw bear collapsed, followed by the second and the third, all losing their ability to move. All that was left was to target the vulnerable spots on their necks to deliver the fatal blow. However, I also remember that giant bears are dubbed newbie killers for a reason. They can unleash a special skill, Thunder Roar, when in a desperate situation. All of a sudden, a claw bear roared in anger, its body enveloped by thunder and lightning. This was the most threatening aspect of them. Even after their limbs were injured, they could still utilize this skill. The game system issued a warning. When engaged in tough battles, claw bears will unleash their potent thunder roar, generating intense tremors and electric currents, paralyzing players instantaneously. My body automatically assumed a natural defensive posture, my mind rapidly calculating the next move. In an instant, a sharp flash of lightning sliced through the night sky, hurtling towards us at breakneck speed. Clutching my sword tightly, I instantly stood in front of the girl, shielding her from this perilous strike. The giant claw bear's thunder roar ability often first paralyzes players before seizing the opportunity to deliver a lethal blow. For players unfamiliar with this mech, this often becomes their final stop. A flicker of panic and concern flashed through the girl's eyes as she watched me stand motionless amidst the lightning. She nervously summoned her weapon, ready to join the battle. I gently shook my head at her, as if to tell her that everything was under control. As a skeleton, my body was reduced to hard bones. The power of lightning could naturally not pose too great a threat to me, let alone plunge me into a state of paralysis. The moment the lightning disappeared, I leaped forcefully, my sword unhesitatingly stabbing into the giant claw bear's brain. This was the 3-second window I was waiting for. My previous experience tells me that this brief period following its thunder roar would temporarily freeze the giant claw bear. I seized this golden opportunity, striking accurately at its weak spot, delivering a fatal blow. The girl froze, her eyes fixated on me. Witnessing the death of their comrade, the remaining giant claw bears began to hesitate, gradually retreating. The system prompt sounded, "You have gained 50 evolution points and 30 experience points." I walked slowly towards the remaining claw bears, clearly aware that this would be my paradise for evolution and experience points. As long as I could eliminate all these claw bears and find the hidden boss, my goal would be achieved. In the distance, the girl stood quietly, disbelief filling her eyes, watching me carry out a merciless massacre of the claw bears on the battlefield. Suddenly, the system prompt sounded again. You had successfully advanced to level 4. The girl leaped up excitedly in the distance, her voice resonant. "Little skeleton, you are truly amazing." Her eyes, fixed on my smooth, precise movements, saw for a moment the legendary player Kaido, the one and true GOAT, who enjoys a prestigious reputation in the online gaming world and was once a special guest for the vast wilderness's close beta test, has been her idol for many years. A thought involuntarily arose in her mind. Could this be an Easter egg designed by the game development team for Kaido? And was she actually fortunate enough to summon him? I was completely unaware of her thoughts, as my only concern was the evolution points I could gain from the battle at hand. The girl's gaze revealed a strange emotion as she eyed the coins and materials scattered all over the ground, her mouth watering uncontrollably. She even unhesitatingly crawled into the jaw of a claw bear, her little hands scouring for potential loot. Meanwhile, I, a skeleton dedicated to evolution, had little interest in these materials. I focused intently on the evolution point, which had now accumulated to 420 points. More than half to go, and the next evolution would be upon me. The claw bears in front gradually retreated, seemingly frightened by my previous performance. I briefly lowered my skull, pondering my next move. When I continued grinding through the claw bears, trying to anticipate the next evolution, the system's alert tone rang out, revealing an unexpected message. Due to my outstanding performance, the system granted me a special privilege allowing the unlocking of a secret evolution pathway. I was slightly taken aback by the choices in front of me. Skeleton Berserker and Skeleton Rouge were displayed before my eyes, accessible for just 1,000 evolution points. However, the third option remained a mystery. Other than its cost of 2,000 evolution points, no other information was provided. Mixed feelings surged within me. What exactly is this secret pathway? It demanded double the evolution points, which meant I would have to spend more time and work even harder to accumulate. Yet my intuition told me that there was a tremendous reward waiting behind it. After all, my goal is to find the hidden boss. To achieve that, I would have to clear out this entire area anyway. And so I chose the third mystery path. I believe that these little bears are just as eager and curious about what is my secret evolution path. This somewhat timid group of massive bears appeared to present a rare opportunity. I readied my weapon and silently approached them. In the dense forest of Clawbear Mountain, my sword slashed through the air, and one after another, the clawbears fell at my feet. Time unknowingly slipped away until, finally, the last bear was felled by my blade. Silently calculating the evolution points I'd earned in my mind, I acknowledged that, while each kill yielded significantly less than initially, I fought tirelessly still. Now only 20 evolution points separated me from the next level of evolution. Looking at the fallen claw bears, a flicker of regret passed through me. I sat down, my gaze sweeping over the peaceful forest, contemplating my next move. It was then that the system's notification echoed in my mind. The hidden boss had appeared. My heart involuntarily began to pound. Rising to my feet, the swirling purple void in front of me lent a mysterious atmosphere to the forest. I knew that only a handful of players were aware of this mechanics. The conditions to trigger the hidden boss of the Bear Mountain area were extremely stringent. Only players below level 10 who cleared all the bear monsters in the mountain within 45 minutes could activate it. Considering these strict conditions, it was improbable for most players to discover this boss. Silently, I climbed a tree to observe the real master of Clawbear Mountain from above. The hidden boss was several times larger than the regular clawbears, its body covered in sharp spines, each movement displaying a dominant and powerful aura. With every motion, the surrounding large trees were easily shattered, showcasing its immense power. The upside of such a low-tier hidden boss is that it won't initiate an attack if players don't enter its range or inflict damage on it. A part of me was impatient, desiring to charge at it right away, but that wasn't an option yet. The abilities of the Clawbear Mountain King were far too complex for me to handle right now, and relying solely on speed would provide too low a margin for error. With my current health points, even a single hit would spell instant death. Recalling the beta testing phase, where I found myself being chased all around by this very hidden boss, I hadn't managed to study its abilities in depth. Moreover, I couldn't entirely recall the abilities of these early hidden bosses, so it made sense to gather enough evolution points and challenge them after my second evolution. Playing it safe, I retreated to the monster zone, biding my time for the next monster respawn. Sitting on the ground, the feeling was truly peculiar. A strand of violet light connected me and the girl. Before, I was always alone. Ever since being reborn as a summoned creature, this was the first time I felt such an attachment. However, I thought I should return to her side, to protect her. Though she seemed quite safe, even without me in her field of vision, I could guess what she was busy with. Finally, I found her. Indeed, she was gathering loot and materials. Suddenly, a group of fully armed players approached not far away. One of them remarked, "Strange. Where did all the monsters go? Did the game bug out?" The leader realized that the area seemed to have been cleared by someone else, as the bodies of bear monsters were everywhere. "Damn it. I don't know which bastard dared to clear our guild's monsters." He cursed furiously. One of his party mates suggested a possibility. Could it be someone from another guild? I heard that a few days ago, the vice guild leader had a dispute with them over territory. He hesitated for a moment and said they should report this to the guild leader. The squad leader, hearing this, immediately turned his anger into a menace, lifting his hand threateningly. "If you dare tell the guild leader, I will kill you." The leading player commanded his subordinates to split up and search, determined to find the one who stole their monsters. I quickly hid in the forest, evading their search. A henchman with mushroom-shaped hair searched leisurely until he suddenly heard the girl's voice. He followed the sound and found a blonde girl, discovering a piece of purple-quality material. Nervously, the henchman asked about who is the girl and where did she come from. The girl, startled, the yelling from the mushroom hair henchman drew the attention of the others who hurried over. She spoke, her voice trembling, saying she came to find her summoned creature. The squad leader sneered, "I've never heard of summoning creatures running away. Stop acting. Tell me, where are your squad members hiding?" The girl, somewhat perplexed, insisted she didn't have a squad and that she only came with her summon. The squad leader did not seem inclined to let her go easily and tried to force her into a combat state, clearly not intending to let her escape. An archer in the team mockingly explained the situation. The girl, frightened, summoned her weapon nonetheless. The three of them looked at her disdainfully. Utilizing a scouting skill, the archer identified the girl as a level 9 necromancer. He scoffed, stating that the skeletons summoned by a necromancer are slow and weak, incapable of even killing a single bear, let alone all the corpses in this area. The wounds on the bear monsters on the ground were very clean, clearly inflicted by a sword-wielding class. Moreover, this player seemed quite powerful. The girl glared at the three of them angrily, staunchly refusing to hand over her loot. The archer turned around and told his teammates that the monsters here were obviously killed by someone else, and the girl was just a scavenger player who had wandered in. Scavenger players are typically lower-level players who follow large parties to pick up leftover items. The squad leader nodded, then looked at the archer, signaling him to handle the situation. Then, the rest of them walked away. Suddenly, the archer approached the girl from behind, speaking ominously. "Do you know what the most realistic aspect of this game is? It's the tactile feeling." The girl trembled all over, silently calling from the depths of her heart, "Little skeleton, where are you?" I watched the creepy archer and suddenly patted him on the shoulder. He turned around, and a high-pitched scream echoed through the forest. His squad raced back, only to see a skeleton soldier with a long sword standing there, and beneath his sword lay their archer teammate. The girl clutched tightly to my arm, saying she was very scared. The squad leader looked incredulously at the archer. Although he was alive, his arm was sliced off, unable to believe that a skeleton soldier could injure his squad member. The archer screamed out, "My arm! My arm!" I had no intention of halting the battle. Instead, I grabbed the girl and began to run away hastily. The squad leader, noticing the weapon in my hand, suddenly realized that the wounds on the bear monsters were likely caused by me. He shouted at his team, "It's this summoned skeleton that killed the bear monsters. They've all been deceived. Quick, catch them." The mushroom-headed guy stared at the archer struggling in pain on the ground, unsure of what to do. The leader knew that if they let us escape, the guild leader would never forgive them. Deep within the forest, I sped through the thick bushes with the girl on my shoulders, the girl clutched in my neck. Tears flickered in her eyes as she whispered tenderly, "Little skeleton, you really came back. I thought I'd never see you again." Her words caressed the air as three pursuers, their eyes reflecting cold blood and brutality, relentlessly chased us from behind. Deep concern reflected in the girl's eyes as she softly spoke to me. "Let me down. I can run on my own." All the while, her gaze was firmly fixed on my face, her inner turmoil seemingly hiding some questions. She thought to herself, "Little skeleton actually can't bear to leave me. Could it be that he has feelings for me?" Silently observing me, she thought that little skeleton was quite handsome after all. However, I was entirely oblivious to the emotional turbulence within her. In this urgent situation, I unhesitatingly tossed her into a nearby bush, leaves lingering at the corner of her mouth as if trying to protest something. Lifting her head, far away, I was already gone. Three figures continued to pursue me. At this moment, she finally understood that I was trying to lead the pursuers away. A trace of irritation surged within me. These relentless players, a perfect combination of melee, tank, and ranged classes, formed a small squad adept in slaughter and plunder. However, a prior sneak attack had left their archer unable to fight at full strength. Observing his bloodshot eyes and protruding veins, I can feel his anger. Slowing my pace, I abruptly turned around. The opposing four-person group halted instantly, their eyes darting around, searching for the girl. The squad leader called out with a cracked voice, "The woman must be hiding nearby." To him, there was no way that I was acting on my own. He thought the girl must have precisely controlled me was both surprising and extremely powerful. In his heart, all the wrongdoings were the girl's fault. Filled with fear, he ordered his subordinates to be constantly vigilant of their surroundings. Relying on his many years of gaming experience, he sensed something unusual about the forest ahead, though he couldn't put it into words. He kept his eyes on me, yet dared not act rashly. The leader signaled to the archer to use a scouting skill to inspect the surroundings, but it seemed that anger had entirely consumed the archer. Dropping his arrows, he gripped a few poison-coated darts tightly, his eyes filled with nothing but deep-seated hatred and killing intent toward me. "I'm going to kill you!" he roared like a wild beast. Although the leader tried to calm him down, I just calmly smiled, which perfectly suited my intention. I lifted my thumb and slowly pointed it toward the ground. Without hesitation in his rage, the archer threw 3 poison-coated darts at me. My sword traced a splendid arc through the air, effortlessly deflecting everything. A secret joy bubbled within me. They finally took the bait. The dagger silently vanished into the dense bushes, one landing within the dark void. This was not what the squad leader had anticipated. Nevertheless, it seemed that there were indeed no ambush troops nearby. He swiftly made a decision, ordering his team to charge at me. The 3 formed a battle line, the tank at the forefront, he in the middle, and the fist fighter lagging behind. He then leaped off the ground, astonishingly suspending himself 10 meters in the air, his massive war hammer brutally descending toward my skull. My heart pulsed slightly. How come it hasn't triggered yet? The squad leader activated the war hammer heavy strike skill, and soon the hammer and the ground collided violently, instantly shattering the crust surrounding him. However, I had already deftly evaded, and he could only stare agape at me, marveling, such speed, so fast. In his understanding, low-tier skeleton soldiers should be extremely sluggish. Just at this moment, the gazes of all 4 were irresistibly drawn to a red system notification. You have been marked by the hidden boss of Bear Mountain, the Clawbear King. Cold sweat broke out on their foreheads, a chill rising from their spines. That's right, this is a hidden boss. Suddenly, a massive bear-like creature leaped out from the depths of the forest, ferociously assaulting the 4. They scarcely understood what was happening, yet recognized this was the hidden boss their guild leader had been searching for. But why would the aggro focus on them? Without much time to ponder, the leader quickly directed his team. Scatter! A massive bear paw descended from the sky, the shockwave blasting each member away. The archer, under this impact, became a Burger King patty beneath the bear's paw. The Claw Bear King let out a deep roar, its blood-red eyes coldly fixing on the remaining three. The squad leader's thoughts spun wildly. Why would a hidden boss appear suddenly? Could it be that summoner just now? The Bear King roared in rage, activating its skill, Vicious Bear Rampage. Without hesitation, the squad leader turned to flee, but the trio suddenly felt their bodies float, as though gravity was being siphoned away, uncontrollably drawn toward the boss. This was another of Bear King's skills, Stormfield. The tank, in a desperate spark of wisdom, raised his shield in defense, but was effortlessly repelled by the Bear King. I stood quietly beside a large tree in the forest, silently observing the battle unfolding before me. I thought to myself, ah yes, those two skills, Vicious Bear Rampage and Stormfield, quite tricky indeed. I knew these lower-tier boss skills wouldn't last too long, so I decided to quietly watch the situation unfold, curious to see how long these three could hold out. The tank's fate didn't surprise me. Soon enough, he became food in the Bear King's maw, his life stripped away within seconds. The remaining two, locked in a gaze of terror with each other, had lost 2 team members already under 1 minute. Still unable to control their movements due to the field's influence, they slowly drifted towards the Bear King. The squad leader finally sensed something amiss and turned to gaze toward the direction of the forest where I stood, surely suspecting that the summoner was nearby. Unexpectedly for them, the gravitational pull suddenly vanished, and they regained the ability to move freely. Not daring to linger, the two immediately turned and sprinted in the opposite direction, their health bars nearly depleted. They hadn't expected that someone would activate a hidden boss in this area. They needed to withdraw as fast as possible and report this information about the hidden boss to their guild. The squad leader, turning his head back toward my spot in the forest, found my figure already gone. In the moment they let their guard down, I had lightly leaped down from the tree, swiftly dealing with the two of them. Before dying, the squad leader's head involuntarily executed a 360-degree spin, his eyes filled with anger and bewilderment. Perhaps in his imagination, he never thought he could be killed by a summoned creature. He tried hard to remain conscious, needing to report the hidden boss and my existence to the guildmaster. Me? I merely watched him indifferently, then, without any mercy, ended his life. After killing the 2 enemies, the system informed me that I had earned 20 evolution points. However, the enraged Bear King behind me did not cease his fury due to this. Still overturning the surrounding large trees, he did not disguise his brutality, his cold eyes staring directly at me. Every step he took was so heavy that the earth trembled beneath as if narrating an impending catastrophe. When I finally accumulated 2,000 evolution points, the system posed a question: do you want to evolve now? Simultaneously, the Bear King opened its massive maw, large enough to engulf everything, trying to swallow me whole. Without hesitation, I immediately clicked to confirm, welcoming my second evolution. A beam of pure blue light suddenly surged into my body, and instantly, I felt an incredibly powerful force boiling within me. My body grew at an incredible speed, and my skeleton surface shimmered with a mysterious purple glow. My weapon became incredibly sturdy, even cloaking itself with a cold metallic sheen. The system whispered to me, entering evolution protection time, 3 seconds. During these brief 3 seconds, I tightly grasped the Bear King's sharp teeth with one hand. The system brought me news again. You have been promoted to a Tier 3 Skeleton Assault Guardian and have acquired a new skill, Assault Bone Armor, Bone Spikes. As soon as the protection time ended, I swiftly swung my sword, striking accurately and ruthlessly at the Bear King's front paw. Due to the evolution, my swift swordsmanship upgraded to level 2, increasing my attack speed by 40%. The Bear King's front paw was sliced open, creating a massive wound. Its giant body began to shake uncontrollably, the pain emanating from the wound evident. I understood well, whether it was a hidden boss or a regular bear monster, in this bear monster module, their weaknesses were always their joints and necks. I waved gently toward the Bear King, wanting to see its true strength. The Bear King squinted slightly, staring at me with deep, furious eyes. Perhaps in his perception, a mere skeletal being daring to mock him was unforgivable. His rage seemingly boosted his physical capabilities immensely, his speed beyond imagination. The Bear King's sharp claws furiously swiped at me, and in a critical moment, I fortuitously dodged, his claws merely grazing my guard. Even though I have evolved, I clearly could not withstand his attack directly. However, my new skill came into play at this moment, and I quickly activated Assault Bone Armor, Bone Spike. Sharp bone spikes grew from my hands, and I fired them accurately at the Bear King. The bone spikes precisely hit the Bear King's eyes. Just as I landed back on the ground, the Bear King unleashed his Storm Force Field skill, obliterating the surrounding gravity, and I felt my body slowly being drawn towards it. In urgency, I plunged my sword deep into the ground, attempting to resist that fearsome pulling force. After all, under the effect of this force field, once drawn into it, my movement speed would be greatly reduced. Considering this was an AoE skill, I fired a few more bone spikes again. They tore through the air, bringing with them the whistle of breaking wind, aiming at the Bear King. Because of the force field attraction, the bone spikes, with an even more ferocious force, instantly hit the Bear King's head. With his eyes gravely wounded, he couldn't stop emitting a deep, mournful howl. Seizing this opportunity, I flexibly flipped through the air, utilizing the force field's attraction, and ruthlessly stabbed my sword into the Bear King's abdomen, creating a huge wound all the way to the back. Just as I slightly exhaled in relief, the system issued an urgent warning. The Bear King once again used his Storm Force Field skill. This time, even the surrounding large trees were not spared and were uprooted. I could feel this time the gravitational effect was even more intense than before. Evidently, the Bear King was now going all out. The stock of bone spikes was critically low, and I cursed silently in my mind. Observing my surroundings, I used a massive rock that was being drawn toward it to propel myself upwards. Raising my long sword high, I aimed at the Bear King, now a behemoth that could not see ahead, and threw a few of the remaining bone spikes at it. Then, guided by me, the long sword fiercely stabbed into the Bear King's eyes. Due to extreme pain, the Bear King emitted several roars intertwined with anger and agony, its gigantic claws trying to shake me off. At that moment, the pulling gravity suddenly disappeared, and relying on instinct, I leaped down just before being crushed by the Bear King. It seems the duration of the Bear King's skill has ended, I muttered silently in my mind. The Bear King struggled amidst its incessant wailing. Now it was blind in both eyes. This was my perfect opportunity. Just as I was preparing to use the bone spikes again, the system indicated that I did not have enough bone powder. Although this skill was very useful, it evidently also required the consumption of corresponding resources. Suddenly, a mist enveloped the entire battlefield, and a voice, low and imbued with a trace of fatigue and helplessness, echoed in my ears. "Player, I have waited for you for a long time, a very long time." I rapidly looked around, trying to find the source of the voice, then realized something incredible. The one speaking was the Bear King. I stood there, stupefied, questions filling my mind. Wait a minute. What's going on? The early game bosses shouldn't interact with players according to the game settings, right? The voice resonated once again. "I shall bestow upon you the last gift of Claw Bear Mountain." My eyes focused on the gigantic blue crystal, flickering with electric sparks, situated on the Bear King's forehead. The system quickly notified, "Bear King has activated skill, Mighty Thunderstrike." The lightning before my eyes slightly baffled me. Could it be that the developers adjusted the gameplay, adding skill introduction dialogues for bosses during the full release based on the closed beta? Game designers do love engaging in these seemingly insignificant details. Gently bracing myself, I thought, if it's using this skill, then I will not hold back. Have you forgotten? I, a skeleton, am immune to electric-type skills. At that moment, the sky was interwoven with thunder and lightning, and a lightning bolt, several meters wide, sliced through the sky, directly surging down, causing the mighty Bear Mountain to tremble slightly under this astonishing power. Simultaneously, deep in the forest, a girl was running. Her backpack was stuffed to its limit, and she also held several materials emitting a faint blue glow in her hands. She was burning with impatience, knowing that the little skeleton decided to lure those players away to save her. Due to the overweight backpack, her movement speed had decreased by 40%. Without hesitation, she discarded the excessive materials and ran with all her might toward her little skeleton. She summoned her weapon. She was going to save her little skeleton. Suddenly, a shadow descended from the sky, flying straight towards her. The server-wide announcement echoed, "Player, a small, adorable dork has successfully defeated the hidden boss of Claw Bear Mountain, achieving the first kill." The system prompt immediately followed. This time, only the girl could see. "You have leveled up, current level 10. Please proceed to the main city for job advancement as soon as possible." Outside of the game, inside the Grand Tiger Hunt Guild headquarters, located in a magnificent skyscraper, a blond man sat in his sharp black suit, casting a cold gaze upon the replay shown on the tablet screen. His fingers lightly drummed against the tablet, the sound echoing his clear impatience. He was deeply disappointed with the squad before him. A sorrowful thought crossed his mind. In the brief moment of my absence, you lost the Claw Bear Mountain. What's even more unbelievable is that you let a complete rookie claim the first kill of the hidden boss. In the office, the squad members lay quietly on the floor. The squad leader's face was contorted, a golf ball held between his teeth as if he was trying to explain. A cold glint flashed in the guild leader's eyes as he chillingly inquired, "Do you have any idea how much money your blunder has cost me?" The squad leader wanted to reply, but the golf ball muffled his words. He attempted to clarify, striving to sound firm, saying, "It was just a mistake and they had underestimated the rookie. There was only one opponent. Next time, they won't make the same mistake." Desperation was evident in his eyes, begging for another chance. The guild leader didn't utter a word. Slowly, he walked over to the side, picking up a solid, gleaming golf club from its stand. With a mocking tone, he repeated, "Oh, just one person?" Disdain filled his voice, and his eyes grew colder. Then he swung the golf club in the air, as if measuring the distance. The squad leader stared in terror at the golf club, sweat trickling down his face. He tried to explain, but was only met with an even icier gaze from the guild leader. The look seemed to say that the guild had no need for useless trash like them. The squad leader's voice grew more pleading, but it was evident that the guild leader's patience had run thin. Moments later, he casually tossed the golf club aside and swiftly wiped the fresh blood off his hands with a handkerchief. Turning around, he walked over to a large floor-to-ceiling window, gazing down at the impressive cityscape below. He murmured with annoyance, "To think that a rookie managed to find Claw Bear Mountain's hidden boss. What a bunch of incompetent trash." He then took out a pack of cigarettes, flicked one out, and lit it. He took a deep drag, exhaling slowly. Relief was evident in his eyes. At least that hidden boss wasn't in the Southern Valley area. Turning back, he addressed a man in a suit behind him. "Viper, how's the plan for the Southern Valley region coming along? I hope there won't be any more slip-ups." Viper responded with a solemn face, bowing respectfully, telling the guild leader to rest assured that their operation in the Southern Valley region would be flawless. Inside the luxurious office, the guild leader slowly turned, his gaze sharp as a knife fixed on Viper. Now someone had gotten the first kill of the hidden boss of Claw Bear Mountain. That place no longer holds significance. However, we cannot simply let that summoner off. We must teach her a harsh lesson, he stated gravely. As for the Southern Valley region, the guild leader ordered Viper to send more guild members and have the place in a complete lockdown. There must be no mistakes this time. Viper, his neck adorned with a tattoo resembling a living python, smiled lightly and said with full confidence, "Everything is under his control." Back in the vast wilderness, atop Claw Bear Mountain, the girl summoned two clumsy little skeletal soldiers, directing them to busily collect the scattered loot around. Yet the speed of the two skeletons was baffling, like watching a slow-motion replay. The girl muttered impatiently, wondering why they were so slow. She then pointed at me, saying, "Look at your senpai here. He even soloed the hidden boss." I sat atop the enormous carcass of the Bear King, looking down at the scene. By now, the girl had swapped her torn clothes for a brand new level 10 Furious Bear Mage set, including a Furious Bear Mage robe, coupled with a quirky tail ornament and a pair of Furious Bear boots. Given that her equipment was of a rare pink quality, Its attributes were exceptionally good. Turning to me, the girl exaggeratedly flaunted her new outfit, asking what did I think, asking me, isn't this set gorgeous? I wondered in my mind, although this was the Furious Bear set, but there was nothing furious about it. And why is it that in these RPG games, female armor designs are always so peculiar? Maybe it's just RPG logic? The girl, in high spirits, hugged me tightly and opened her inventory, showcasing the bear skins, bear teeth, bear essence, the items dropped from the previous zombie wolves, and a mountain of gold coins were all laid out before our eyes. She exclaimed excitedly, "Look at all these! I'm one step closer to a rich life." The girl excitedly suggested that we return to the main city to finish her class transfer and sell the materials she had on hand. This way, they will have even more gold. I remained silent, but I caught her suddenly turning her gaze to the two skeletal soldiers, suspecting them of slacking off. I massaged my temples, feeling a deep sense of exasperation. How did I end up with such a quirky summoner? She's actually wearing the furious bear mage robe worth hundreds of thousands as a casual avatar. Sitting on the ground, I began to contemplate when I might escape from her clutches. I opened my character status panel. The recent evolution seemed to have given me even more of a significant boost. Just by attributes alone, I now surpassed most very well-geared players who were level 15. Moreover, the new skill, Assault Bone Armor Bone Spike, was extremely practical. Although every user consumed bone powder, they would naturally regenerate when I was out of combat. However, the threshold for the next evolution seemed exceedingly high. I would need a total of 20,000 evolution points, 10 times the previous evolution. I did some calculations in my head. Defeating monsters of my current level only granted me 10, 20 points, while the rare hidden boss gave me a mere 500. I sighed internally. How long would it take to accumulate all those points? Suddenly, I looked over at the girl next to me. She was right. It was time to assist her with her class transfer. If I remember correctly, after a Necromancer undergoes a class transfer, their first skill is Skeleton Enhancement, which significantly boosts the abilities of summoned creatures. And as her summoned creature, if she gets more powerful, I would also get more powerful. The girl waved at me excitedly, her eyes sparkling with the news that she has found a treasure chest. My eyes widened in delight when I spotted the chest next to the fallen Bear King, a radiant purple chest resting serenely on the ground. The system alert rang out. "Congratulations, brave adventurer, for vanquishing the hidden boss of the Claw Bear Mountain. The great wilderness has a special gift for you." The girl's eyes brimmed with anticipation. "Upon seeing it's a purple chest," she gushed, rushing over and eagerly flipping it open. I blinked in surprise. Technically, I can't do that, but you get my point. Having momentarily forgotten the usual bountiful rewards that came with defeating hidden bosses. As the lid creaked open, her eyes narrowed slightly, scanning the contents, revealing it to be a rare skill book for all classes. Approaching to get a better look, I confirmed her discovery. Emblazoned on the skill book were the words, Thunderstrike. I was fairly surprised to see this here. How could such a potent skill book be contained in a low-level boss's treasure chest? Could it be because it was we got the first kill on the hidden boss, leading to such an extraordinary reward? She picked up the skill book, her gaze shifting to me. Sensing my deep longing for the book, she handed it over without a second thought. "Little skeleton," she began, her voice soft yet sincere. "You've already helped me get so many materials, and I owe this bounty to you. This skill book, you should have it. It will serve you well." Wow, I was truly touched. I never expected this money-minded girl to be so generous, handing over such a precious skill book to me. Just as I was about to give her a thumbs up and praise her, she looked at me with a mischievous glint and said, "This skill seems to be a powerful AoE skill. If you master it, our efficiency in grinding monsters will surely increase, and my days of wealth won't be far off." The gleam in her eyes made me chuckle helplessly. Well, I take back what I just thought. Shaking my head amusedly, I quickly skimmed through the skill book. A system prompt appeared. "Do you wish to learn Thunderstrike?" Without hesitation, I clicked yes. 3 seconds later, a radiant light burst from within me, signifying my successful acquisition of the new skill. The skill description read, "Thunderstrike. Consumes 150 mana points with a cooldown of 1.5 seconds. Unleashes a powerful force of thunder, inflicting 200 damage to all enemies in its range. The girl looked at me, her eyes filled with anticipation, eager for a demonstration. I tightly gripped the hilt of my sword, taking a deep breath, feeling the surge of electric energy flowing from my palm to the tip of the blade. The thrill from this newfound power almost took me back to my early days in the game. An overwhelming emotion made me reflect. I hadn't felt this kind of exhilaration from acquiring a new skill in such a long time. Perhaps this is the true joy of RPG games. I tightly gripped the hilt of my sword, channeling my strength forward, releasing several bolts of thunderous energy from the blade in an instant. The girl's eyes shone brightly, captivated by the dazzling display of my new skill. However, I frowned slightly, sensing that the damage was a tad underwhelming. Even though the skeletal soldiers in the distance also applauded for me, I couldn't help but feel disappointed. The thunder merely left a faint scratch on the wood. Then a light bulb moment hit me. I remembered that the god-level evolution system could not only evolve me, but also evolve my skills. Considering the next evolution requirements and efficiency, I decided to focus all my efforts on upgrading the Thunderstrike first. The system's prompt soon appeared, signaling the skill upgrade had begun. Suddenly, a bolt of heavenly thunder struck down from the sky, within moments, with the color of the electric energy around me transitioning from its original pale blue to a deep, dark blue-black. This was the level 5 Thunderstrike. I concentrated my energy once again and used a Thunderstrike. Following that, intense bolts of electricity erupted from my blade. This time, the trees in front were obliterated by this overpowering force, leaving behind a charred trail on the ground. The girl, with her mouth gaped open, watched the breathtaking scene, spontaneously applauding and casting an admiring glance my way. I nodded slightly. My choice was correct. With this, the rate of acquiring evolution points would surely speed up. I quickly grabbed the girl's arm and hoisted her onto my shoulder. Perhaps for me this method had become a habit. The girl protested and playfully retorted, "Why always like this? Can't you choose to carry me princess style?" However, in my mind, the primary thought was to accumulate evolution points first, and then take her back to the main city to complete her class transfer. After some consideration, I had made up my mind to first head towards the Southern Valley region, and then head straight for the main city.